welcome to the Growth Junction, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of Bitcoin, finance, crypto, and speaking with industry leaders who are shaping the space. I'm Dennis, your host. I've been through 2.5 crypto cycles and felt the highs and lows and my levels of anxiety in my wallet. And before this, I used to work for multiple marketing agencies, one of them being a top Web3 agency. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Mpumelelo. I won't even try your last name, Ndamane, the
Better.
co-founder.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm getting it. The co-founder and CEO of Nuud Money, a South Africa-based cryptocurrency wallet startup that sets to revolutionize how young professionals across Southern Africa engage with digital assets. With a mission to simplify crypto for the everyday user and tackle currency instability, Mpumelelo is driving a movement toward financial empowerment. His background in Johannesburg and his passion for cutting through the jargon-filled world of crypto makes him a leader in the fintech space. Welcome to the show, Lelo. Thank you so much for coming. Why don't you take a few moments to share a little bit about your background?
Hey man, thanks for having me here. It's really good talking to you. You have a great podcast. I think I've listened to one episode that you have out so far, and I'm looking forward to listening to more. You're a really massive proponent for crypto and for Bitcoin in particular in the world, and we're on the same mission. And I appreciate you for having me on. I think my background is pretty interesting. I was actually speaking to a friend of mine just the other day, and they were actually telling me that, yo, you actually have an interesting background in general, an interesting life. I started out in a school of music. I studied jazz at University of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa, one of the most prestigious jazz universities, jazz programs rather, in South Africa. I did a year there, and within that year, I realized maybe that's not what I actually want to do. I moved over to studying theology at Rhema Bible College in South Africa, Johannesburg. I did that, I finished that. And before then, I actually was raised in a very small town in South Africa called Newcastle. I think it's named after the famous Newcastle in England. So I was raised by two civil servants who themselves enjoyed helping communities and helping people around them. Primarily being civil servants, I think you're bound to want to do that, or I hope you would be. They were also fairly involved in many other organizations within the town. They started initiatives in the organizations as well. And I think throughout just me changing and moving from jazz to theology, I think a bulk of that was definitely inspired by who they were and who they are still. Being people who really want to impact the world in ways that matter. And I wasn't afraid to move between jazz and theology because of them. So kudos to them. I graduated in theology, and I always tell a story of how I even ended up in finance. In class in theology, I was actually sitting next to a former banking executive at that time. I think he just left banking a couple of months before we met. And he had a bag from John Maxwell, the leadership coach. And I asked him, why do you have the bag with you? Because I was a massive fan of John Maxwell at that time. And he said, hey, I actually am part of a consortium that's trying to bring John Maxwell in Africa. And we got into business from there on. We started out in a small business, a fintech business. Then I left, I think 3 years later, also after graduating from theology, and worked as an executive assistant in a bank. And that's when I got to see what banking was really and what consumer banking was, all the loopholes and everything that was truly broken with banking. And I wanted to fix that. Look at me wanting to fix banking. I think much like everyone else is in this space right now, we're really trying to fix banking and trying to make sure that consumers have an amazing experience or a better experience within the financial services sector. And my journey then with crypto just began from there on, and this is where we are right now, sitting with you and talking about Bitcoin and the future of human liberty.
That is awesome. We never know where we end up, do we? Like,
Yeah,
I can totally relate to that. Born in one country, grown up in several other countries, um, with a diverse background, and I would never thought I would get into marketing, let
sure,
alone starting a YouTube channel and covering crypto topics. Like, no idea. So it's exciting.
it is.
Yeah, let's get to some main questions. So you were born and raised, or you've grown up in Jayburg mainly,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how does that has that shaped you on your entrepreneurial mindset and your approach to building Nude Money?
It's interesting, man, and forgive me to the what listeners and watchers. I'll be sipping some tea. Um, Joburg is probably what people call the New York of Africa. I know that people in Lagos, Nigeria, will probably argue with me. Great, hey guys, we're all one family. But Joburg is literally hard and beautiful at the very same time. Joburg really ensured that it clicks in my head that the world needs people who think very differently. The world needs people who are able to create a world that the rest of humanity can live in. And Joburg is literally the reminder of where one of the biggest revolutions happened. So this is where gold was literally mined, still is mined in South Africa. So the gold rush literally is what spurred on the growth of the city to what it is right now. I think we are the biggest city when it comes to how much is, well, we have the biggest GDP actually within the whole of Africa as Joburg. And so just that dream and realizing the fact that I'm in a massive city made me want to become an entrepreneur. I never planned on becoming an entrepreneur at all. I think I said that my parents were civil servants who were raised themselves by community leaders. I had no taste in wanting to be an entrepreneur. I just thought, oh man, what am I going to do? I'll probably open up a small shop. So my world was literally blown apart and blown up when I got to the city of gold, we call it, and realizing that the opportunities for growth and the opportunities for creating products that advance human liberty and products that really enable human beings to flourish, those opportunities exist. And that's where I found myself. And I think also the story of me sitting next to someone who literally changed my whole life is a testament of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome, awesome. So I I'm not or I don't know much about Africa. I've been to Tunisia, I've been to Morocco, like for short trips, but that's it. As a European, I'm a complete outsider. What's one lesson from your personal journey that you've carried into Nude Money that you think sets you apart from other fintech founders?
Man, building in Africa is really hard.
Like in terms of the
It's
nuances of all the the different markets there. There's so many countries
yeah,
and it's so big.
yeah, certainly, certainly. It's really hard, primarily because of that. I think you're navigating different languages. Number one, you're navigating different cultures. You're also navigating different passports. You're navigating different laws and regulations. And so stepping into the different parts of Africa becomes really difficult as a founder. I think we're trying to get into Ghana, Zambia, Malawi, and Nigeria, which is countries that have high inflation. So inflation um, between 12 and probably 25%, Nigeria being the hardest hit by inflation, sitting at to date probably 23, 24%. The lowest being, I think, Malawi sitting at 12%, Malawi or Zambia sitting at 12%. And so navigating all those differences is pretty hard, and nuances is pretty hard, primarily because you also need to convince the different people of what you're building outside of just language, but as well as culture and the problems that they face themselves as as a country. outside of what we're doing and trying to help people live outside of a monetary system that's inflation ridden, you need to ensure that you dig down to their problems. For example, for payments, Nigeria and South Africa are very different when it comes to payments. Kenya and South Africa are very different when it comes to payments. I think South Africa has a much more developed financial system. Money moves really quickly in South Africa. Money moves quickly in Kenya as well through mobile money, but through the banking system, it's a bit of a difficulty. And so, customizing our business and ourselves and our thinking to the differences in the markets is pretty hard and pretty difficult. But I think that's probably what makes us better founders. That's probably what makes us founders who are truly determined to solve the biggest problems in the world, which is the lack of integration and lack of interoperability within the whole global financial system. And it's a massive ask for us, but I think we're up to the task and we're proving it.
Mhm, mhm. All right. So let's quickly talk a little bit about Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin is the message, what's the core truth you're trying to convey, and how do you balance that with the chaotic, untamed energy some Bitcoiners bring to the table?
It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one, Dennis, because on the one hand, you have this technology that is changing the world. You have this technology that is able to transform humanity for good forever as well. On the other hand, you have legacy systems that the world is used to and that the world has used for more than 300 years now, with the first bank probably being launched in Italy um, around the 18 or 1700s, I'm not sure. And introducing it now when it's only about 10 to 12 years old is pretty difficult. And making sure that people understand that we have a message of privacy, we have a message of advancing human liberty. Uh, it gets really tricky when people aren't used to that. And so our job as Nuud Money would be and is to do that, essentially to awaken humanity to the beauties and the utility of Bitcoin as a technology. The fact that I can move money around without being censored. I can move money around without needing an actual bank. And a bank is essentially someone who holds money on your behalf, or holds money or holds custody of your money. And that's a message that needs to be I think I'll probably tap into me as a theologian. It's a message that needs to be preached and evangelized throughout humanity, and that's our job. You and I are sitting right here across each other, and that's the message that you and I have to, and that's a story that we have to tell, of a story of human beings deserve privacy. And I think we all know that. That's why we hide our messages from strangers. That's why we lock our homes. That's why we make sure that we hide anything that we don't want anyone else to know of, because privacy is fundamental to every human being. If I was a moralist, I'd probably double click on the fact that Bitcoin is solving a deeply moral issue of privacy often being breached. And I think the lowest of the lowest in the food chain deserve privacy as well. It's not just people who can afford to pay for privacy, who deserve privacy. And the message of Bitcoin is that you can get privacy. It's decentralized. No one else can interfere with that, as well as just advancing human liberty and giving you a chance to opt in or opt out of any financial system that you want to get into. And we think the vast majority of humanity deserves that. Much like how we moved from not framework computers. What's the name again? Those massive computers that we had, frame computers, into PCs, personal computers, within the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. And I think that's what Bitcoin is trying to do with money. And it's really hard to fathom. And I can tell you this, right? I was supposed to get into Bitcoin in 2015. to hold Bitcoin as an asset in 2015. And one of the bankers that I spoke to at that time said, "No, don't do that. What is that? Do I regret the decision? I do." But
It,
I actually read your tweets. I think you tweeted about it as well. I think you tweeted about it, or you wrote about it somewhere, where you said that you're supposed to get into Bitcoin earlier on. But look at you now, right? But outside of the price, I want to put the price aside, because price for
yeah,
me is an afterthought. I mean, Nuud Money does not have the price of Bitcoin. It has the value of your Bitcoin relative to your fiat, but it does not have the price of Bitcoin. And that's intentional from our end, because currently the ecosystem is very volatile. The ecosystem is very male driven. It's very chaotic to an extent. And we're really trying to go out and bring on a message of, hey, you can literally not think about Bitcoin in graphs. You cannot think about Bitcoin in buying the dip, and think about Bitcoin in a sense of we're all going to make it, full stop. And yeah, that's what I think the crypto ecosystem is missing. And
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
message that we're trying to bring. So it's privacy, it's advancing human liberty, and forget the price of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So that I know you've touched on it already now, but it's a philosophy and a technology. You could say I put it like that. And but what do you think, if there was one thing that each and every one of us, and also as a society, we need to ask ourselves when it comes to Bitcoin?
Do we really care about our liberty? Um, I think that's the most important thing. Do we really care about our liberty? I think financial institutions can bring about Basel 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 to ensure that people's monies are protected, and that's good, and that's really important. We've benefited for that. You and I are sitting here speaking through our MacBooks because we've benefited from that, right? Um, but we really need to reimagine what human liberty looks like in finance. And the question everyone has to ask themselves is, do I care about my liberty? And if the answer is no, then what you and I are trying to do here is futile, honestly. Because the vast majority of society says, no, what we're building is just for us and three of our friends. Full stop. That's the one question I hope that everyone asks themselves. Do we care about our liberty? And that's the question that I hope builders in this space can ask themselves as well. Do we care about not just our liberty, but the liberty of the people we're building for? Are we careful about the language we use? Are we careful about I go on tangents thinking about radiuses on buttons. Do you care about what a button does for someone sitting on their phone? Does it help their job easier? Does it make their job easier? Does it help them get through to actually owning Bitcoin and using Bitcoin? Because outside of caring about the liberty, there's an underlying message of, then what? If the answer is yes, then what? Get Bitcoin and use it, and not just use it as a store of value. I think it's all good and well that we want to hold it and watch our dollars go up, whatever currency you use in fiat go up. Um, we have to use Bitcoin, and not to punch holes into anything that's happening right now politically. Establishing a crypto reserve or Bitcoin reserve is all good and well. I think that's important. It's a great step in moving Bitcoin forward and ensuring that Bitcoin becomes what most people in crypto call mainstream. I don't like using that word, but let's call it mainstream. It's all good and well, but individuals have more power than institutions. Individuals hold more power than nation states. I mean, individuals are make up the nation, but individuals hold more power than government. And I think individuals need to ask themselves, do I care about my liberty? If I do, or financial liberty. And if I do, what am I doing about it? Okay, cool. Let me get Bitcoin. When I get Bitcoin, I need to be able to use Bitcoin. Now, using Bitcoin means that we also need to make sure that there's merchants and there's stores. There's a coffee shop that I can go to and use my Bitcoin in. I think South Africa's done well in that. One of the biggest stores in South Africa, Pick and Pay, they've done a massive job in ensuring that you can use Bitcoin through Lightning to purchase your goods. And I think we need more thinking. We need more people thinking like that. We need more stores that are actually available for people to spend their Bitcoin. And that's the job that I want to employ everyone, bro. Let's ensure that there's massive accessibility for Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin has proven itself to hold a better value than fiat currencies. I forgot the actual numbers, but I think we're year on year right now. We're probably sitting north of 200% that we're doing relative to fiat currencies as Bitcoin. And I think that's a strong message that Bitcoin is sending. And builders in the space, we need to make sure that we make it easier for everyone else to come into the space and use, not just hold it, but use it, because we have to use it, bro. We have to use it.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree
Yeah,
more. That's thing that comes up time and time again, the usability,
yeah,
the complexities of it, and how, making it mainstream and making it simple, just like, simpler than fiat, even just holding your phone there, pay with Lightning, and so that people can see this. Oh, okay, I don't have to put an address and go crazy on it and write some code or something.
yeah,
Um, that's it. And the volatility, which is crazy still,
yeah,
people, it will start flattening out with that when people use it also. Um, yeah, you mentioned buttons, pushing a button. So
yeah,
you're pushing the button of Nuud Money, and if
yeah.
this button was to succeed, um, what's the bigger truth about humanity you hope it uncovers beyond just financial independence?
You know, when we started Nude Money, we we wanted to build a financial product that fits everyone um, intrinsically, and the name itself started from us thinking about what is the best product that we can build that really fits people just like their skin. So that's number one. And number two, we then went on to thinking about the actual word nude. And we found that in Estonian or in Estonia, the word means now. Um, so things that move now, immediately. And we then went on to thinking about when the metaverse became a massive thing, I think around 2022, 2023. We realized that people can make money in different parts of the world. And the world not just being the metaphysical world or the physical world, but also being the digital world as well. Um, and my premise for building Nude Money lies on building products that people love and building products that love people in return. And that's really fundamentally important to me because I hate the inconvenience of not being thought for. If I lived with someone, I'd hate coming back home realizing that there's no food when I had a long day. I'd hate realizing that, oh, you did not leave any hot water for me in the morning from the geyser or the water pump. And so our mission is to advance human liberty right now. It's in finance. But overall, it's to ensure that we build products that are full of care, thoughtfulness, and consideration. And I hope that fellow builders in the ecosystem do the same thing, even in partnering with one another. Uh, I think everyone is here, not everyone, but most of us are obviously building businesses to create massive economic value. But beyond that, economic value needs a market, and it needs other players in the ecosystem for trust, and all other things. And if we promote those partnerships with ourselves, with one another, as well as with as customers, with care, thoughtfulness, and consideration, we'll build a world where the liberty of billions of people in the world will be advanced. And that's why we're here. That's why we exist. And I care deeply about the mission that we're on. I take it really personal, and it could be to my detriment at some point, but I care deeply about it. And I hope that everyone who's in the ecosystem handles every button, handles every word, handles every graph with care, because we have a massive world to build, and we have a massive world to build for. And yeah.
Awesome. That's so good. Like, I mean, leaders need to be leading with care, with integrity, with all of that. And I think I can feel it. There's so many people with good intentions that want to see a better world and more inclusive world. Yeah, it takes time and a lot of patience.
It does.
But I mean, one seed leads to many more seeds.
Yeah.
So I think you're leading the way in this. So thanks for that.
And we need
Uh,
one another, Dennis. We need one
mm,
another in doing that. Yeah, we do.
absolutely,
We do.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's one trend you're seeing in people in African markets and how they're responding to crypto, and what's the toughest challenge in getting them on board?
Man, I think Nigeria's leading the charge um, in that space. Second is Kenya in terms of adoption. And then thirdly is South Africa. And pretty interesting just looking at that, the top three, because Nigeria is hard hit by inflation, massive restrictions when it comes to how money moves. I think the Nigerian government is doing that, rightfully so, to protect their own interests. And Kenya probably has, I think the last time I checked, had an inflation rate, a CPI of about 3% or so. Um, but I think Kenya is moving towards Bitcoin because Kenya is probably deeply curious when it comes to technology as well. Nairobi is a vibrant city. I love Nairobi. Now you should actually go to Nairobi. Very vibrant, and the people there are keen on learning. I mean, Kenya uh, in sub-Saharan Africa actually ensured that mobile money becomes a massive thing. That's money moving through cell phones. That's pretty incredible. And so breaking into that, yeah, go ahead.
No, I've heard the concept of airtime being
Yeah,
sold and sent in Africa.
yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, I heard this for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and that really
yeah.
fascinated me.
Yeah, so I mean, we've thought about moving or tokenizing money for a very long time. It's not a new concept to the continent, and I think the next important thing would be decentralizing that and ensuring that people see value in the fact that it's decentralized, and ensuring that people see value in not just decentralization for the sake of decentralization, but decentralization for the sake of hedging against inflation, decentralization for the sake of ensuring that no one's going to take your money away. And that's less of a problem in Africa. So punting that and ensuring that that message is known in Africa is pretty difficult. But the people who do get into the space complain about scams, sadly. Um, I think Nigeria is the hardest hit when it comes to scams. South Africa as well. speaking to a friend of mine who's in Zambia, one of the markets that we're trying to get into, as well as Ghana, they complain about scams. So the trust for what is crypto and what crypto looks like is very minuscule within the continent itself. Although the message is very widely adopted, we still have a long way to go in ensuring that young professionals take on crypto, and that's what we want as Nuud Money. First, we want everyone. Tell your mother, tell your father to get the Nuud Money app. But primarily, it's young professionals, and those are the people who we think have a massive ability as well as massive ambition to shape what the countries look like moving forward. So it's firstly the fact that Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya are leading the charge, and that's really great for different reasons as well within those three different countries. And secondly, it's the fact that Africa is still scam riddled, and we need to do better in ensuring that we cast out all the horrible players and the bad actors in the industry, and the guys who are and the people rather who are really doing good work, who are here for the industry, who are here for humanity, who are here for the right purpose, stay in. And I think keeping each other in check is also quite important. I mean, we have a saying in South Africa called Ubuntu. Ubuntu is essentially "I am because you are." It's loosely translated, directly translated, being human. And we need to have that in the community. And I think because Bitcoin is the way it is, it's not owned by anyone. No one is really a CEO of Bitcoin. We have a better chance to do that. When Dennis says, "Yo, bro, I saw what you said. Tell me more about that." I don't agree with that. Hey, bro, I read an article. You're allowing people who are heavy on money laundering and who are funding terrorist attacks. What's up with that? We need to have that conversation to ensure that the industry is really good for people and good for humanity, the way that we or the way that Satoshi wanted it to be. I believe, and yeah, those are the trends. Although those are the problems. I didn't get to the trends. The trends are with inflation rising, we'll definitely see more people getting to the Bitcoin. We'll definitely see more people getting self-custody wallets. And we just need to make sure that we build the right environment for them to hop on. And I think with the recent developments within the world politically as well, I think Bitcoin stands a good chance. With inflation rising, Bitcoin stands a good chance. And yeah, those are the trends that I'm seeing, as well as regulation. Regulation is pretty important for the industry because it validates what we're doing. But within regulation, I mean, a loose thought that I've had for a while is how do you regulate with a centralized entity something that's decentralized in nature? And so those are the
Yeah.
questions that we also have to speak about and ask and build around. We need regulators that are pro Bitcoin in the truest sense, and regulators that are also trying to make sure that consumers are protected and that money is not flowing illegally and money is not funding terrorist attacks and money laundering as well.
Yeah, that's true. I know there's not in Bitcoin, but no company called Predicate that is
No, I don't.
building. No, they are building um, like rails for blockchains,
Okay.
and where they can set their own policies that must be fulfilled to qualify transfers. So if a transfer comes in, it needs to fulfill these rules, and if it doesn't fulfill it, it will not go through.
Okay.
So to avoid scammers, for
Beautiful.
example, for what happened on Bybit, for example, they would know the money's coming from there, but you can't use this blockchain, for example,
Yeah.
to transact it. So something like that could probably happen to Bitcoin also. Um, one of the last questions, in your opinion, what does the competitive landscape look for you, and do you even see it as a competitive landscape, or do you more see it like it's a collaboration?
It is competitive. It's both, but firstly competitive. I think firstly because we're still raising money from VCs, and those VCs need to make a return, and so it is competitive. But not just for that reason, but also for economies need to grow, and economies grow through competition. So I think competition is also deeply important. And I think my point earlier on was that we need to collaborate so that we grow economies and grow the ecosystem. But what it looks like is it's very tough. Uh, it's very tough, but really interesting. Um, I think one of the massive players in Africa started about 8 years ago. About 8 years ago, really moving hard into the continent and ensuring that a massive amount of people have access to digital currencies. And what we're betting on is a strategy that fully focuses on young professionals, truly focuses on the everyday consumer. Um, and that's very different from what everyone else is doing in the market. Although the messaging that we're seeing is we are focused on ensuring that everyone comes into the crypto markets. The products don't really speak that language. And so we want to make sure that we bridge the gap between the technology as well as the products to ensure that consumers walk over the bridge very freely and easily. And so I think we have an edge, Dennis. I think we have an edge, and it's because of the strategy that we've taken. Uh, it's a long game. We're playing a really long game. I think we're also just inspired by the late Clayton Christensen, where he speaks about how new entrants into the market come into the market and take over the low margin game. And that's where we are. And I'm not afraid of saying that. And I think everyone should, I mean, I'm saying this because I think everyone should come into this space and let's compete and let's make sure that customers have the best product. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting next couple of years for Nuud Money. I'm excited and scared, but
Yeah,
mostly
yeah,
excited.
awesome. So speaking of the next couple of years, what are some of your goals in the next 6 to 12 to 36 months?
So we're raising around. Currently, we're busy raising around, and that's really important to us. Important to us and our survival. Um, and after raising the round, it will really allow us to go to the market very freely. Right now, we're only available on the Huawei App Store. We're going to branch out into the Google Play Store as well as, and we're focusing on Android because that's what our market is saturated with in Africa. I mean, I'd hate to build a product for on the Apple store, Apple App Store, and no one is really using it. So we're really determined to provide a great service for our customers. And proof of that is the fact that we're only launching on Android products or Android ecosystems. And we have great feelers in Zambia. We have great feedback from people using our product in Ghana. So the next step would be going full force within Ghana, going full force within Zambia, going full force within Malawi, Kenya, and then Nigeria. So we'll definitely start within the continent, ensuring that remittances or money moves very quickly within the continent, and then heading over into Latin America. That's also an exciting market, and we call upon everyone who is in Ghana, Zambia, Malawi to chat to us, chat to me. I'm very accessible. I'm on Twitter, Mpumelelo, so MPUMELXLX. My email address as well is mpumelelo@nuudmoney.com. Let's chat and let's be the ecosystem. So that's what we're looking for the next 6 to about 18 to 36 months. And yeah, stay tuned. Also, our initial mission was to advance, or to rather to build a financial advisor in every pocket. And I think people should stay tuned for that. We
Right.
think crypto should be more than just money in, money out, but it should be an actual product that advances human liberty.
Awesome. So thank you so much for this. This was a very, very insightful conversation with Mpumelelo Melelo.
Got it.
Huge thanks for sharing your expertise and your vision as a drummer, philosopher, and Bitcoiner, and love to see young entrepreneurs going after it. Please tell people, I know you just did it a little bit, where they
Yeah.
can find you, Nuud Money, social medias, and everything.
Yeah, certainly. Before I do that, thank you for having this platform. I think it's really important that the message of Bitcoin is double clicked. The message of Bitcoin is amplified throughout the whole world. And we think that everyone should know what we're doing. Everyone should know where the world is heading towards with clarity and simplicity. But you can find me on Twitter. You can find Nuud Money on Twitter. That's NUUD Money. That's at NUUD Money. That's on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, as well as our website. Hop into our website, subscribe to our newsletter that's written with clarity, that's written with thoughtfulness, and you'll also be on our waiting list as we come to your country very soon. Deeply excited for that. I think everyone needs Bitcoin. Everyone should use Bitcoin on Nuud Money. That's NUUDmoney.com.
Awesome. So all the links will be below this video as well, of course. And yeah, people, thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, you know the deal. Share it. Sharing is caring. Leave a like and all of that stuff. Until next time, I'm your host, Dennis, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Cheers.